Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session. InfoSec Train brings to you another session on the data privacy. And today we are going to look at the requirements of the GDPR and also briefly about the role of a data protection officer in an organization. So a brief introduction about InfoSec Train. We are one of the finest security and technology training and consulting organization. So we have been into this providing these valuable services to our clients since the year 2016. Many of you, I'm sure, would have gone through the training programs which are being delivered by us. So not only we provide the professional trainings, we also provide the certification and consulting services in the area of the information technology as well as the cyber security. Today's session is on the GDPR and the role of a data protection officer. My name is Rajesh Sandhe. I carry about 30 years of the corporate experience, out of which about 11 years I spent with the Airtel data centers. And for the last 4 years, I am into training, process audit, ISO audit, also into the consulting for the implementation of GDPR, implementation of ISO management systems, including information security, quality management, and energy management. So today I will try to attempt to give you a brief introduction, the basic fundamentals of the GDPR. And once this session is over, it would be available on the YouTube channel as well. So the links would be shared with you. And it's a small session of just about 2 hours. So let's see how we go about it, and most probably we would be able to manage the timelines. So once again, a very big and hearty welcome to all of you. My endeavor is to make it a valuable session because every one of you is investing your time in this session. Let's hope that it ends up as a fruitful session for all of us. So once again, thank you very much for joining us today. Now, in this session, as I said, our simple attempt is to understand the basic facts about GDPR so that we get to know what exactly this GDPR is. And then we keep on listening about requirement of a DPO, the data protection officer. Is that going to be a good career option now because of the implementation of GDPR? So we will be looking at all those facts. So to start with, what exactly is GDPR? Is it an international standard on data privacy like we have ISO 27701, or is it a guideline or a white paper which has been issued by an organization at the international level talking about the requirements of the data privacy? Is it simply an industry practice which organizations may or may not adopt? Can an organization seek to be GDPR certified? Other than the last, that seeking the GDPR certification, all the first three statements are myth. They are not true. Why? Because GDPR is a regulation. It's a law. It's a regulation in the European Union law on the data protection and the privacy in the European Union and the European Economic Area. So it's like in India, we have got so many laws and regulations. So once a law or a regulation is formed, then all the people to whom those regulations apply, they have to be compliant to that. So similarly, GDPR is not a standard or the best practice that may or may not be adopted by the organization. It is a regulation. So compliance to GDPR is mandatory now in European. Here we have transfer of the personal data outside the EU and the EA areas. That means even though this regulation has been issued by European and it talks about the data protection European Union nationals or the data sets, but it is not limited to the geographical limits of the European Union member states. So if the data of the European Union nationals is transferred, the regulation is stable there. So we will have a little bit more discussion in the coming slides on this. So the aim of their personal data and to simplify the regulatory environment for international business by unifying within the EU. So which means the GDPR regulation of the European Union has to be compliant to this law. It has to be compliant to this. So there are exceptions. It was first adopted in the, it became an enforceable regulation the May 25th, 2018. 2018 has already been, and it is very much being followed, and compliance to this regulation mandate not only for the member states but for all those organizations which are getting their data processed even outside the European Union. So as I said, binding and applicable on each member state of the European Union. So if you look at the complete document of GDPR, you will find that it has been beautifully structured. It has got 11 chapters and there are around 99 articles which are talking about the requirements of the compliance to the GDPR. And this document is downloadable from the website free of cost. So unlike our ISO standards or other international standards, we do not have to purchase this. It's a regulation. It's available free of the cost. You just need to go to the European Union GDPR website and you will be able to download it. So for the purpose of this session, we do not have the time to discuss all the 99 articles. So we would be discussing some key articles. So let us look at the Article 1 to start with. Article 1 is related to the subject matter and the objectives of the GDPR. So it specifies that this regulation has laid down the rules relating to the protection of natural persons with regard to the processing of personal data and rules related to the free movement of personal data. So now the data processing happens at multiple points, at multiple levels, at multiple organizations. So this regulation is aiming to provide the protection of the processing of that data so that there is no harm done to the people whose data is being processed. So as such, this regulation is protecting the fundamental rights as well as the freedom of the natural persons, in particular to their right to the protection of personal data. So if anyone is a European Union national, maybe any part of the member states, if his or her data is processed in any part of the world, GDPR gives them the right for their data protection. Now under Article 4, they have given certain definitions. So we will look at those definitions one by one and try to understand what do they mean. So let us start with personal data. So when we are talking about GDPR is meant to protect the personal data of the data subject. So let us understand what exactly it is that constitutes a personal data. So personal data, as per the definition given in the GDPR, is any information relating to an identified or an identifiable natural person is a personal data. So that means our name, our email IDs, our contact numbers, our addresses, the offices where we work, the businesses what we run, all that information with which we can be identified, all that information would be considered as personal data. It uses the term identified or identifiable natural person. So what do they mean by identifiable natural person is anyone who can be identified either directly or indirectly, in particular by reference to an identifier such as a name or an identification number. Like in India we have Aadhaar number, in US we have got the social security number, so or the location data where we are working, where we are staying, or any other online identifier, our email IDs or our user IDs to any web platform, or to one or more factors which could be specific to our physical, physiological, genetic, mental, economic, cultural or social identity of that natural person would be an identifiable natural person. So any person who can be identified based on certain parameters or identifiers would be considered as an identifiable natural person. Moving on, it talks about the protection during the data processing. So let us understand what exactly is processing. Processing refers to any operation or set of operations which is performed on personal data or on the sets of personal data, whether or not by automated means. That means even the manual processing gets covered under this regulation. So this could be collection, this could be recording, organization of the data, structuring the data, storing the data, adaptation or alteration, retrieval, consultation, use, disclosure by transmission, dissemination, or otherwise making available, alignment or combination, restriction, erasure or destruction. Any of these activities happening on the data of the people or on the personal data are classified as data processing. Then the very important definition is on the profiling. Any form of automated processing of personal data consisting of the use of the personal data to evaluate certain personal aspects relating to a natural person, in particular to analyze or predict aspects concerning that natural person's performance at work, economic situation, health, personal preferences, interests, reliability, behavior, location, or movements. So that is profiling. Now, this is something which you and I face every day. If for once I go to a portal to book my air travel from Delhi to Hyderabad, then for the next 7 days, I keep on getting pop-up ads on my system wherein there would be tickets going cheap, get the cheapest hotel or get best hotels in Hyderabad at the cheapest rates. Now, how is it happening? Because at the back end somewhere, somebody has used my data for profiling. The way I am leaving my footprints, web or the social network, all that data is being collated and creating a profile for me. And this profiling is used for multiple advertising purposes. So now GDPR is giving this benefit to their European Union nationals that this profiling cannot be done without their consent. Now, one of the biggest player in the entire GDPR implementation and compliance is the controller. Controller refers to the data controller. So a controller would be a natural or a legal person as a single entity, or it would be an organization like a public authority or an agency or any other body which either alone or jointly with others will determine the purpose and means of the processing of the personal data. So the role of the data controller is to collect the data and then determine for what purpose this data has been collected and for what purpose it will be processed. So now if you have taken a mediclaim, then the organization through which you have taken the mediclaim policy, they become the data controller. Now they have determined that they would be collecting your data and they will processing it for the purpose of your medical insurance related issues. So now it may not be possible for the controller all the time to process the data. Sometimes controller is different and the data processor is different. So by definition, processor like controller is a natural or a legal person or a public authority or an agency or any other body which would be processing the personal data on behalf of the controller. So let us say that there is an organization by the name Star Health Insurance based out of Germany. Now they are collecting the data from all the people to whom they are selling the medical insurance. So they are by default the data controllers. But instead of processing the data themselves, they have outsourced this business to some organization in India. So that organization becomes the data processor for Star Health Insurance. So here there is a controller and there is a processor. In some cases, controller and processor can be the same organization also. So under GDPR, if you are a controller and you are getting the data processed outside the geographical limits of European Union, even then you are covered under this regulation. The onus, the accountability lies on the controller for the compliance to the GDPR. So third party has been defined under GDPR as a natural or a legal person or a public authority or an agency or a body other than the data subject. Now data subject is a person whose data is being collected and processed. So other than data subject, other than controller, other than the processor, right? So this is an organization or a person who are other than data subject, controller, processor, and the persons who under direct authority of the controller or processor are authorized to process personal data. So sometimes the processing of the data would be further outsourced to a third party under authorization. There is a scenario like this, then that third party also gets covered under the purview of GDPR compliance. So personal data breach is a breach of security leading or unlawful destruction or loss or alteration or unauthorized disclosure of or access to the personal data which was transmitted, stored or otherwise processed. So if any breach happens to our data, which is our personal data, either during transmission or during storage or for any other means, which has not been authorized or which leads to alteration of our data, which leads to destruction of our data, that would be categorized as a personal data breach. Now, GDPR also covers the genetic data. Genetic data is that personal data which is relating to the inherited or the acquired genetic characteristics of a natural person. Now, this genetic data would give that person a unique information about the physiology or the health of that natural person, which result in particular from the analysis of the biological sample from the natural person in question. Then another classification is a biometric data. Biometric data is the personal data which results from the specific technical processing relating to the physical, physiological, or behavioral characteristics of a natural person, which allow or confirm the unique identification of that natural person, like facial images, like our eyes of the color or the our fingerprints. All these would be our biometric data. Then there could be data concerning health. So this would be the data which would be related to the physical or mental health of a natural person, including the provision of the healthcare services this person might have taken or might be taking. And such data would be revealing the status of a person's health. So GDPR requires that consent of the data subject should be taken. So when we talk about the consent of the data subject, it refers to any information freely given, specific, informed, and unambiguous indication of the data subject's wishes by which he or she, by a statement or by a clear affirmative action, signifies agreement to the processing of the personal data relating to him or her. So whenever we are filling up a form, we are giving our inputs to anybody, we sign on the paper, we are practically given our consent that our data may be collected and processed for a particular purpose. So the players involve supervisory authority. As per the GDPR, all member states need to appoint a supervisory authority. So this would be an independent public authority which will be established in each member state to ensure the implementation and compliance to the GDPR. Then within the supervisory authority, they have differentiated supervisory authority concerned. Now, there are more than 20 member states in the European Union. So each member state has got a supervisory authority which has been appointed for this particular purpose, or which has the authority to consider the GDPR compliance related issues. So the supervisory authority concerned would be that supervisory authority which is having a concern for processing of the personal data, whether the controller of the data or the processor is established in the territory of that member state, or the data subject is residing in that member state, which is likely to be affected by the data processing, or a complaint of a data breach or any issue related to the data processing has been lodged with that supervisory authority. So that authority becomes supervisory authority concerned. So now we move on to the Article 13 and 14. These two articles are about the information to be provided to the data subject. So let us look at it. What does the regulation require from the organizations? It requires that where personal data relating to a data subject are collected from a data subject, the controller shall, at the time when the personal data are obtained, provide the data subject with all of the following information. So what all information shall be provided by the controller at the time of collecting the data from the data subject is what it talks about. So there would be a clear specific information about the purposes of the processing for which the personal data are intended, and it will also talk about the legal basis of the data processing. Data subject shall be informed about the period for which the personal data will be stored in their systems, and in case it is not possible at that stage to specify a period, then they will inform about the criteria that would be used to determine such a period. Article is dedicated to the rights of the access by the data subject. So the data subject shall have the right to obtain from the controller confirmation as to whether or not personal data concerning him or her are being processed, and where that is the case, where the data is being processed, then he shall have the access to the personal data and the following information. So data subject also has the right to ask the controller the purpose of the processing of his or her data, the categories of the personal data concerned, the recipients or the categories of the recipients to whom this personal data either has been or will be disclosed, specifically if the recipients are in the third countries or other international organizations outside the geographical limits of the European Union. So that right of access has been awarded to the data subject. Under Article 16, right to rectification has been awarded. So it says the data subject shall have the right to obtain from the controller without undue delay the rectification of inaccurate personal data concerning him or her. That means in case the data subject finds that his data being processed or recorded is inaccurate, then he can go to the controller and demand the rectification, and controller has to do that rectification without undue delay. Taking into account the purposes of the processing, the data subject shall also have the right to have incomplete personal data completed. So either the data is inaccurate or the data is not complete. So data subject has the right to rectification in both the cases. Another right which has been awarded to the data subject is right to eraser, right to be forgotten. So the data subject, as per this article's requirement, shall have the right to obtain from the controller the eraser of personal data concerning him or her, again without undue delay. And the controller shall have the obligation to erase personal data without undue delay where any of the following grounds may apply. So either the personal data is no longer necessary in relation to the purpose for which the data was collected or processed, or the data subject has withdrawn the consent on which the processing is based. So if you recall, we talked about the consent to be given by the data subject. Now, if the data subject withdraws the consent that he doesn't want his data to be processed, and there is no other legal ground for the processing other than the consent of the data subject, in that case also, the controller shall have to erase the data of the data subject. Furthermore, if the data subject objects to the processing, and again there is no overriding legitimate grounds to continue the processing, in that case also it is the right of the data subject to get the data erased, and controller shall oblige, and that too without any undue delay. Or if it comes to the notice of the data subject that his or her personal data has been processed unlawfully, so then also he can lodge a complaint and ask the controller to erase the data from their databases. Or there could be a situation where the personal data have to be erased for compliance with a legal obligation. So in that case also the data will be erased. Then Article 21 awards the right to object to the data subject. Under this, the data subject shall have the right to object on the grounds relating to his or her particular situation at any time to the processing of the personal data, including the profiling. So where the data subject objects to the processing for direct marketing purposes, the personal data shall no longer be processed for such purposes. So if today, if I am a European Union national, and after receiving couple of advertisements on my websites or while I'm searching other websites, if I go to the controller and object to it and put in a complaint that why is my data being processed for profiling purpose, then I have the right to object, and based on the due diligence, eventually my data processing shall be stopped by the controller. So Article 22 continues in the case of the automated individual decision making, including profiling. So data subject shall have the right not to be subjected to a decision based solely on the automated processing, including the profiling, which produces legal effects concerning him or her, or similarly significantly affect him or her. Chapter 5 talks about the transfer of the personal data to the third countries, the countries outside European Union, which are not the member states. Now, GDPR does not say or demand that the data should not be processed outside the European Union. It says that as an organization, you have the right to transfer your personal data to the third countries for the processing, but the transfer should be on the basis of the adequacy decision. What is that is, you are permissible that a third country entity ensures adequate level of protection which is demanded under GDPR. So if the data controller or the processor is giving the assurance that the third party will be implementing the adequate controls for the data protection, then it is permissible to transfer that data to the third country. So Article 46 further substantiates it by saying that the transfers is subject to the appropriate safeguards. So these safeguards need to be provided at the controller or the processor end. So controller or the processor can transfer the data to a third country only if the controller or processor has provided appropriate safeguards and on the condition that enforceable data subject rights and effective legal remedies for the data subjects are available. That means the controller can no longer take a plea in case of a data breach happening in a third country, stating that this data was processed not in European Union but outside it. So the accountability has been put on the data controller and the data processor. Now, GDPR has made a provision for remedies, liabilities, and the penalties under its Chapter 8. So, under this, Article 82 talks about the right to the compensation and liability. So, any person who has suffered material or non-material damage as a result of an infringement of this regulation shall have the right to receive compensation from the controller or processor for the damage suffered. So now the data subject, if he can prove that data processing in his or her respect has led to any kind of material or non-material damage, he can file a complaint and seek compensation. Any controller involved in processing shall be liable for the damage caused by processing, which is infringement to this regulation. So again, the accountability lies with the controller here. Article 83 defines the conditions for imposing of the administrative fines. So this article says that the administrative fines shall, depending on the circumstances of each individual case, be imposed considering the following facts: the nature, gravity, and the duration of the infringement, taking into account the nature, scope, or purpose of the processing concerned, as well as the number of data subjects who got affected, including the level of damage that was suffered by them. So while deciding on a fine, the fine may vary from one organization to another organization. So these factors would be taken into consideration by the appellate authority while deciding on the quantum of the administrative fine. It will also look into the fact whether the breach was intentional or it was a negligent character of the infringement. They will also consider the fact whether any action has been taken by the controller or processor to mitigate the damage that has been suffered by the data subjects. The degree of responsibility of the controller or processor, taking into account technical and the organization measures that have been implemented by them, shall also be considered while deciding the quantum of the administrative fines. Then the categories of the personal data that got affected by the infringement, that shall also be taken into consideration. The manner in which the infringement became known to the supervisory authority, in particular whether and if so, to what extent the controller or the processor notified the infringement. That means if a data breach has happened in an organization and the controller has promptly informed the supervisory authority within the stipulated time of 72 hours, as compared to the case where the data breach has happened, controller has failed to inform the data breach, and supervisory authority comes to know about the data breach either through a complaint or through some other means, the quantum of administrative fine in the second case would be much higher than in the first case, where controller itself has informed the breach in the stipulated time, as compared to the one who had tried to not to inform. Now comes the interesting part, the most interesting part: administrative fine amounts. Unlike many other regulations which use the generic words like adequate fine would be imposed, GDPR has defined the amounts of fine. So it is very clear in stating that infringements of the following provisions shall be subject to administrative fines up to 20 million euros, or in case of an undertaking up to 4% of the total worldwide annual turnover of the preceding financial year, whichever is higher. So when the infringement is related to the basic principles of the processing, including conditions for consent, data subjects' rights, or related to the transfers of the personal data to a recipient in a third country, or an international organization. So now let us look at some fines which have already been imposed. As we discussed in the very beginning, this GDPR became enforceable in May 2018. Since then, many organizations have come under the scanner of GDPR and the fines have been imposed. Italian telecommunication operator Vintre, it has been fined to the tune of 16.7 million euros. The reason, there was a violation in the data collection provisions of the GDPR, and this is as recent as July 2020. In the year 2018, Facebook was fined over the Cambridge Analytica scandal, which involved the data of almost 87 million users, which was improperly being shared with third-party developers without having sufficient consent. Then, July 2020, in Belgium, Google has been imposed with 600,000 euros of fine. Reason, Google did not comply with the right to be forgotten. Remember, few slides back, we discussed about the rights of the data subject, and data subjects do have the right to be forgotten and have their data erased. So when somebody requested Google for their data to be erased under the right to be forgotten, Google rejected the request from that citizen, and it did not remove the negative listings from the search results. As a result, he appealed to the appellate authority and Google was fined 600,000 euros. This also is a very recent case in July 2020. Till from 2018 till January 2020, just it is amazing to see the quantum of fines that have been imposed. British Airways was fined 204 million euros. Marriott International Hotels were fined 110 million euros. Google 50 million euros. Austrian Post 18.5 million euros. Deutsche Wohnen was fined 14.5 million euros. The cases could be related to data processing, could be related to the consent infringement, could be related to the right of eraser, whatever may be the case. Once reported, once examined, once investigated, if found guilty, the fines have been imposed on these organizations. So now that we have understood what GDPR is basically about, it is about the protection of the rights of the data subjects who are EU nationals, and it goes beyond the geographical boundaries of European Union. So now what do organizations do for the compliance? So under chapter 4 and section 4, GDPR has given the requirement of nominating a data protection officer. So article 37 talks about the designation of the data protection officer. Both the controller and the processor shall designate a data protection officer in any case where the processing is carried out by a public authority or a body, except for the courts, which are acting in the judicial capacity. So exception is given to the courts. Other than them, all other entities have to designate a data protection officer, where the core activities of the controller or the processor consist of processing operations which, by virtue of their nature, by virtue of their scope, or for their purposes, they will require regular and systematic monitoring of data subjects on a large scale, or where the core activities of the controller or the processor consist of processing on the large scale of special categories of data and personal data relating to the criminal convictions and offenses. So in all such cases, the organizations are required to designate a data protection officer. Then article 39 is defining the tasks which are to be performed by the data protection officer. So major task of a DPO is to inform and advise the controller or the processor and the employees who are engaged in carrying out the processing activities about their obligations to this regulation, as well as to the other data protection provisions in those member states. His role also involves to monitor compliance with this regulation and with other data protection provisions, compliance with the policies of the controller or the processor in relation to the protection of personal data, including the assignment of responsibilities, including the awareness raising and the training of the staff which are involved in the processing operations, and also monitor compliance of the related audits. Further, his role involves providing advice where requested as regards the data protection impact assessment and monitoring of its performance. Another task of the DPO is to cooperate with the supervisory authority whenever required by the authority. DPO acts as a contact point for the supervisory authority on all the issues which would be related to the data processing and to consult where appropriate with regard to any other matter. Now comes a question of data protection officer and the non-compliance to GDPR. Is DPO responsible for the non-compliance of GDPR? Answer is no. As per the regulation, DPO is not at all responsible for the non-compliance of the GDPR requirements. Compliance to the GDPR is the sole responsibility of the controller or the processor. I will take you back to the few slides again, specify this point again. The task of the data protection officer are to inform and advise the controller or the processor and to monitor the compliance, not the responsibility of the compliance. So his role is to provide advice on the DPIA, data protection impact assessment. So many people think that it is the job of the data protection officer to conduct DPIA. As per GDPR, DPIA, the data protection impact assessment, has to be conducted by the controller or the processor. However, DPO can give advice on how to conduct it. So yes, DPO is not at all responsible for the cases of non-compliance by the organization. It is the responsibility and accountability of the controller and the processor. So that is why GDPR regulation has also given the reporting hierarchy. As per Article 38, data protection officer shall directly report to the highest management level of the controller or the processor. So he would be or she would be a direct reportee to the top management. That is the reason in the organizations who have appointed their chief information security officers, they will not double up as DPOs, because the role of the CISO is implementation of the controls, whereas the role of the DPO is to ensure the compliance. So if a CCO is double designated as a DPO, there would be a conflict of interest. So since one, the DPO shall be directly reporting to the highest management level, and the controller and processor shall ensure that the DPO does not receive any instructions regarding his task. His or her tasks have been clearly defined in the GDPR document. So there would be practically no influence on his performance. In case an organization has to pay a penalty, the controller or the processor cannot penalize a DPO or dismiss the DPO because compliance is not under her role and responsibility. So as we discussed, when it comes to the data protection impact assessment, the responsibility will always be with the controller and the processor to conduct the DPIA. DPO may advise on DPIA procedure and the monitoring of the performance if requested by the controller or the processor. So what are the professional qualifications of a DPO? Anybody who is taking up the responsibility or a role of a DPO in an organization, it is expected that that person shall have experience in the European data protection laws and practices, as well as the national data protection laws in which he or she is working. DPO shall have clear understanding of the processing operations being undertaken in the organization. DPO shall have a good understanding of the information technologies and the requirements of the data security. DPO shall also have the adequate knowledge of the business sector and the organization. And DPO, because he is there to promote the security awareness and to monitor the performance, so DPO shall have the ability to promote the culture of data protection within the organization. So that support DPO should be providing. Knowledge expectation of the DPO involves, it would be helpful if the DPO gains or possesses the knowledge on some of the management frameworks, which could be related to information security, management frameworks related to the process improvement, management frameworks related to the risk management, related to the project management. Now, how the project management knowledge helps the DPO is because in an organization, when they are going for a compliance to the GDPR, it would be taken as a project. So DPO already has got an advisory role. So if he has the knowledge of the project management, information security management, process improvement, risk management, DPO would be a very good resource for the organization to drive them towards the compliance requirements of GDPR. So the conclusion what we have is GDPR is applicable to all such organizations which control or process data of the European Union subjects. Even if the data processing happens outside EU in a third country, still GDPR is applicable. So with the GDPR enforcement under a regulation, there is a very good career opportunity for people who are into security domain to opt for DPO positions. Do remember, DPO's reporting is to the highest level in the management. So it brings a lot of authority to the position. So with that, I would like to conclude my session. And InfoSec Train, as I said in the beginning, we have been conducting sessions on data security, as well as there's a program certified data protection officer. So we have already run more than half a dozen batches wherein people have taken the qualification as a certified data protection officer. So in case you are interested to pursue this career, please get in touch with the team and you will get more information. So dear friends, thank you very much for your patience and for hearing me out. I hope and believe that this session would have given you some basic insights into the GDPR requirements and the role of a DPO. There is much more. This is a wonderful regulation that has come up, and they are not sparing any organization just because of their clout or the size. So with your permission, I would conclude this session. Thank you very much once again.